Well, I had some thoughts. I had said something about doing a video this week about secrets of the church, but it's really not secret. It's just some questions that I've had over the years because you see more and more non-denominational churches, and uh, when you have denominational churches, if something happens to that church you're going to, let's say you pay a bunch of money in, you give money to the church for a building fund or something, and I don't know, several $1,000,000, they build a new facility, or they're going to, and if something was to happen, which I've seen it happen with quite a few churches, all of a sudden it dissolves, or they break up, or they just don't think they should buy that facility. Now they're going to go get a smaller facility or something. I always wondered I guess if it goes into a fund and the church keeps going, then it's used for salaries or something of that nature. But if not, then I just always wondered who's in charge of selling the building and grounds, and where does it go? Is there a group of people? Because usually a lot of non-denominational churches don't really have. Some of them, I know they don't have memberships, a lot of them that I went to, and different things, so I'm not sure what happens with that. And usually when you give your money to something like that, you're giving in good faith, and it's, wherever it goes, it goes. But you figure if you had a $2.5 million facility, say, it wouldn't take but a couple hundred people to give, I don't know, $12,000 over a couple of years to reach that mark, to have the building paid for. And if it's only in operation for a couple of years or something, and then sold for $4 million, the money has to go somewhere. And it may very well go into some other association, but if it's non-denominational, I didn't think they'd have that. But that's something I never really was in on, as far as any non-denominational churches. So I'm not sure how they work. They're a little different than some of the churches I went to, like Baptist churches and stuff. They would have a financial meeting once a month, and you could go there and hear everything that got spent, how much money they had. I even did audits for a couple small churches, and you saw how much money they had and where it went and what account, and it was really transparent. But I don't know. Some small non-denominational churches. Well, I'll say small. Actually, it's several $1,000,000 operation. Some of them, I don't know. I suspect that maybe they're owned by a family or something, or owned by even one family. But some of them are passed down. I get that. It's kind of like Joel Osteen's and different people. So the facilities are paid off, but you got to think about it if you're getting in a new church. I don't have anything like that, obviously. Having this form via the clouds, and there's really no brick and mortar meeting place or building, so that's not something that is relevant to me. That was one question that I had, as far as because I've asked in the past. I've asked a few questions in some non-denominational churches, and they don't really like being questions about anything. There's a lot of denominational churches that don't like being questioned either, but I'm more readily to get an answer from somebody in a denominational church, especially about some type of doctrine or belief. I can definitely get that, and you can get that too in non-denominational. But when you start talking about finances now, first of all, you don't have any. A lot of them don't give you any. If you're not a member, you don't really have any right to ask questions, and most of them will probably stonewall you and say, well, you're going to get more involved with the church, and maybe we can get you in on some of our meetings. But if you definitely want to take a stake in helping us finance some things, we'll be glad to talk to you. So anyway, I mean, if you have any ideas out there how all that works, let me know. Like I said, again, I've asked people in the past about stuff like that, and boy, I just don't ever get an answer. You know, I even had somebody was gonna check on it for me one time, and just never did. It's like it just never transpired. I still see the person occasionally, but the question I asked, you know, what would happen if the church, after you spend this several $1,000,000 building this, or now that you've got most of the money, what would happen if all of a sudden they said, oh, we don't have enough members and we can't pay the staff, so we're going to close it down. So we'll see you, or we'll be back in a few months and we'll think about trying to reform, and it's never you heard from again. I understand that most people give money to the church because they believe that they're, you know, supporting the church, and God's leading them to do that. I got that. And a lot of them give tithes even, which I can get into that later, unless they've got a Levitican family or something hanging out or something like that, and they own some land and they're giving, I don't know, some crops and livestock. I'm not sure that's really called a tithe. That might be a consistent funding of the operations, but it's not anything that I think that you're held biblically to. At least I don't think anybody can show me where it is. They'll cite Malachi and all that, but read it closely. Get your Bible out. Read it all. Know what you're talking about. Because not just me. There's some other people that will tell you the same thing. But a lot of churches like to kind of browbeat people, it seems like, unfortunately. Many into giving 10% of their income to the church, and they tell them they're disobedient if they don't, and all the while they're disobedient in several other areas as far as how they worship and different things. But that's a different conversation at a different time. So we'll see you later. Stay tuned. It gets better.